Well, Mahe and Favour, nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing absent from your lives that are needed. This is going to be the third laugh podcast I have recorded in one day. And I still have company for left over from the Just Plain Ornery that will air about 5 minutes before this one does, or 10 minutes. Yes, I am going to air 2 PG-13 laugh podcasts on the same weekend. That way y'all could, I know some of you like to share with your teenage kids, and I'll tell you what, man, some of my Just Plain Ornery stuff that I do, heck, they've heard worse than that on television. Honestly. And if nothing else, they're getting an education that they probably need. Well, yeah, we're still here. We decided we'd stick around. That outfit he's a-wearing and walking up and down the porch. Yeah, we're going to hang around here for a while, and then we'll go up and hang around a lot by the greenhouse and the garden. Well, there's an introduction to the Just Plain Ornery Laugh podcast if you've never heard one of them. All right, so you asked for it. Number 8, you all. I have clustered together emails. You asked for it. The email address will be in here in the description if you want me to make fun of something. Send me an email, and in the headline you can say, Just Plain Ornery emails. I'll share your story, but I won't tell your name. Or you can say, you asked for it. That'd be referring to me, asking for you to send me an email. You asked for it. Hey, Raven, can you make fun of couch cushions? Somebody going to do that. I can see it now. Couch cushions might have to go into one of the Just Plain Ornery podcasts, you all. Spiders, snakes, and other creepy crawly things. Holy moly, you all. Well, obviously they haven't listened to all of my laugh podcasts. I got uninvited guests. So here we go, y'all. You ready? Snakes and spiders and other things. Man, when we were kids, you could buy them giant hard rubber spiders. Holy moly, the thing would be as big as my hand is today, but it had 8 legs. And it was like Attack of the Giant Spiders movie. The ones that were not, the size of houses. They had this arachna, whatever the hell it was, and the spiders weren't massive like houses. They were just, dinner plate sized. This thing wasn't dinner. This is the size of an average hand, not a great big NBA player's hand. But man, we were messing around with it and throwing it at each other, and I bought it for like 20 cents at a 5 and dime. No, it wasn't me. It was one of my cousins. Anyway, we were trying to figure out what the heck to do with it. Man, I thought, well, this is kind of fun, but it's getting boring. So I go over and I stick it up against a pine tree and get pine sap all over it. And then I go over and stick it in the bedding of the dog house and get all that loose dog fur and fluff on it, right? Man, I bring it back over and I throw it on one of my cousins, and he like to freak the hell out. He's like, oh shit! And then all of us start laughing, and he realizes it's our toy. And now it has been new and improved. It now has pine sap that makes it kind of sticky in a couple of places, but it is covered in fur. Man, we're trying to figure out what the hell to do with it, and I'm thinking, man, uncles are here. I'll go stick it in the outhouse. They'll laugh. Either that or they'll shoot the damn thing. Either way, it'll be funny. Man, wasn't me. One of my cousins took the giant hair-covered sticky spider and stuck it in the outhouse. And in the outhouse, you got a toilet seat. Well, I stuck it just a little bit off the toilet seat so that when I sat down, it barely touched my butt. I wasn't very big. I wasn't. People said they liked my butt, but I wasn't that big. Man, we all go get in a hiding, And nobody ever comes out to use the outhouse. It's just getting bored. So we go off and start playing. Man, we come back around from the field, and we're coming around the barn, and all of a sudden you hear a blood-curdling squeal. I'm telling you, that singer that they have in every church movie where they got a choir at church and that one lady is just blasting it out in the wrong key. you heard this blood-curdling scream come out of the outhouse, you would have thought a spider demon from hell had been dropped into the outhouse. Man, that door flies open, and my auntie, and it was not one of my skinny aunties. It was my auntie that was like, the quintessential giant German woman. Big butt, big arms, heavy-duty diabetes. She's got one of these flour sack dresses on. That's what they all wore. Man, she comes flying out of that door screaming. Man, she is running faster than an Olympic sprinter heading for the house. Problem is her bloomers are down around her one ankle at this point, and it comes loose. The wind is blowing like crazy out across the fields. Man, you could see the dust devils rising up behind her as she made her way to the house screaming bloody murder. And at the same time, her bloomers were catching the wind and floating up into the air like a hot air balloon. It was like, holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, none of us ever fessed up who did that. But there was a whole lot of whoopings that got handed out that day. Hey, I got to give my cousins credit. I am the one that put it there. They put me up to it. Yeah, go put it in the outhouse. That'd be funny. Man, I'll tell you what. Sharing the butt whoopings that day was a good thing, because, man, I'm telling you, if any one of us would have had to take the ice whooping that we got for that stunt, man, you wouldn't have, there wouldn't have been hide left on you. You gonna say who did it? Nope. Okay then, whack. Whack, 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 whack. Oh shit, whack. Are you going to say who did it? No. Whack, whack, whack. Everybody got the same number. Holy crap. Can you imagine all that being divvied out on just one person? That wasn't me. No, aunties were that way, man. You get your little 3 or 4 year old kid and put their hand down on the table and look at the size of their pinky fingernail. Just saying. I swear it could have been the size of a newborn baby's fingernail. Man, if they saw a spider anywhere, it was the river dance. No, it was actually an Olympic sprint, man. They could have cleared. I swear any one of my aunties or my grandmother could have jumped high hurdles at Olympic speeds when they saw a spider. In the outhouse especially. Go kill that thing. A lot of times we just go gather it up and take it somewhere, like the barn where Auntie and Grandma never went. Man, I'll tell you what, if Auntie would have seen that spider web in the barn that one summer, she'd have had a heart attack. Charlotte's Web, the movie? This one here built Atlantis. It was like 3 letters deep, and it took up one whole big corner of the loft away from where we worked. My God, I swear that thing could have caught bats and birds and probably toucans. That thing, if they'd have seen that, we'd have had to figure out how someone of us, me, the smallest, was going to get up there and take it out of the corner. And don't you dare drop that spider down here. Holy moly, and snakes. That's where the river dance came in. My folks are half Irish and half Cherokee. Now, there's some of them that are more Irish and some of them that are more Cherokee. I'll tell you what, man, if there was a snake in the garden, it looked like we were having an Irish Cherokee powwow. One part of the garden would be doing the river dance. Hey, the clog dancing. I mean, I'm talking about at 10 speed, though. Holy moly. And then the other side would be doing the jingle dance. There would be dust devils rising up. It looked like a volcano going off with all the dirt that they were hacking up. Ain't no kidding. They would have a hoe and a rake, and you would have to go get the pieces of the meat off the hoe and the rake so that they would pick the rake and hoe back up. But here's the thing I never could figure out. They're doing the river dance and they're doing powwow dancing out in the garden on a snake with a hoe and a rake. They're killing it. They get it killed and then they run past you and say, "Get that snake." You go out there and it looks like hamburger with some scales still attached. Make sure you get that stuff off my rake too. Bring it up here to the house and wash it off. Yeah, you had to not only get the pieces out of the garden, but then you had to take the tools up to the garden hose and wash it off. And And you'd have never thought them women could move that fast. I mean, the skinny aunties, the younger ones, like the one I caught was my uncle behind the barn. You have to listen to Just Plain Ornery. Yes, I could see them dancing like that. My grandma and my great-grandma and my grandma's sister, my great-aunt, holy moly. I'm telling you what, they could have made those guys from Riverdance fall over dead trying to keep up with them. And it looked like sometimes it looked like a powwow in about 5x speed. Holy moly, but using a rake instead of a, shake stick or a turtle rattle. Holy moly. But yeah, man, spiders around our place. And here's the thing I never could figure out. Like, they put that out, they put the bathroom on the back of the house, right? They put the bathroom on the back of the house and they sealed it all up. Finally got the lap siding so you couldn't see the corn blowing by fall when it was harvest time. All summer I could see it blowing. I could see the dog walking by and sniffing to see who was in the bathroom. If somebody walked up at just the right time and you were in the shower, if they were the right height, there were some gaps up there. They could have looked through and saw you taking a shower. Yeah, the women would go in there and use the bathroom. And you know damn well there were spiders in there. And then when they fixed the wall, they had this tube down at the bottom. It was supposed to be in case water, overflowed or something. It could drain out into the yard. And they put a little mesh wire ball inside of it and over the outside of it to quote-unquote keep mice and snakes and spiders out. If my aunties or my grandma would have seen the snakes and spiders and other things that were in that bathroom at different times, they would have ripped the whole addition off the house. It would be Grandma Smash. That's funny. Yeah, well, I don't like spiders coming down on me while I'm sitting on the toilet. That's not convenient or nice. Not very polite either if you're sitting on the toilet and can't get up out of its way. That's true. Yeah, sitting, and where I lived at, you had the itsy bitsy spiders. Not in my place. We had wood spiders too. Man, one night I was sitting out there on the toilet, getting ready to take a shower. I'm sitting on the toilet, and it's one of them things where you ain't going to be getting up no time soon. And I'm sitting there, and this thing drops down right in front of me. Literally, if it would have went any further, it would have been between my legs and really close to the groin area. It drops right down, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it. And y'all, I am not kidding you. It was at least the size of a baby food jar lid. More like a peanut butter lid. It's like, well, looking at it from that distance, it looked like it was the size of a coffee can lid. And I'm sitting there, with my legs spread, and it is close enough that if there's a breeze, it could land in places that you don't want it. Think about this, y'all, male or female. And it is just hanging there about, chest high. You don't want it there either. And it started to swing back toward me. Holy crap, man. You talk about an instant shut-off system. There was nothing coming out of me anywhere at that point. Wow, that booger got killed, man. You do not inconvenience somebody sitting on the toilet. I'm telling you right now, man, if it had been an auntie or grandma sitting on the toilet instead of me, they would have went out through the wall behind the toilet. Either that or they'd have screamed so high, so loud and so high the roof would have flew off. Good gracious. Spiders do that crap to you. You ever been reaching for a piece of toilet paper and you feel that sticky stuff of the spider web and you're like, oh hell, my hand's in it. I didn't know it was there. When did it build that damn thing? You're not supposed to be in the house, let alone right there where I gotta get my toilet paper. And you don't know if you want to move your hand. So you pull your hand up real quick and you look. Lord help you if it's at night and you don't turn the light on when you go to use the bathroom. I have learned my lesson over the years, you all. I do not walk into the bathroom without turning the light on. You might think your house is sealed up, but you know what spiders can get through? Or mice? Or snakes? My buddy RK, man, I'm going over to his house and we're going to go do some work. And he says, man, go make some coffee. We'll drink some coffee before we leave. We were waiting on another one of our buddies. Man, I walked into he had one of them trailers. It wasn't a big house trailer, but it was, maybe 14 foot wide and 30 feet long. It wasn't small. It was a one bedroom. Well, Man, I walk across the little living room area and into the kitchen, and I open up that cabinet, and that damn thing swings its head out at me. Holy crap. I kid you not, the head on that snake looked like my fist doubled up. And I got a good enough look at it to realize that its face was pointy. It's like, holy crap, it was trying to strike at me from the cabinet. I shut the door and I went outside. I said, hey, buddy. He goes, what? I said, you realize that you got a snake in your cabinet? He said, what? I said, it's a big one. I said, I tried to get the coffee and it told me I couldn't have any. He goes, what do you mean? And I said, I opened up the door to reach for the coffee and it come right out in my face and insisted that I wasn't getting any coffee today. Good thing I brought some with me, and I walked over and I got the coffee out of my truck. He said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, we got to figure out where it's at and how big it is. Well, how are we going to do that? And I said, well, from the size of its head, I'm thinking. Man, I go over there and I get the aluminum lid off of his trash can. And he goes, what's that for? I said, self-defense. I said, we're going to go in here and you're going to open that cabinet door and I'll put this thing up and he can hit that instead of me. He goes, all right. Man, we get in there and he's like, he hates snakes. I didn't mind. I don't mind snakes. But I don't like him coming out and telling me I can't have coffee at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's not polite. You talk about uninvited guests. Anyway, so he opens up that door and that snake, man, is not there. I'm looking over the hand, I got it held up like an old, Roman soldier out in front of me. And I'm like, it's not there. He's like, what? I said, close the damn door. See, he closes the door. I said, all right, open that next one. And I'm, got the shield up in front of me, and my eyes looking over the top of it. And he opens it up and I can see it moving. It's going over to the next one. And I'm like, oh, man. He closes it, and I said, all right, open up that next one, man. Bing, 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 right on the front of that lid. No, on the inside of the lid. I'm holding the outside of it by the handle. Bing, 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 bing. I said, shut the door, bing, bing, bing. He is really trying to kill me through that trash can lid. Oh. I tease about my auntie and my grandma and their river dance, right? And their powwow dancing out in the garden. Man, I'm telling you, we go back outside and I take a sip out of my coffee, which is cold by now, and that snake is really making me mad. I'm like, man, I don't know how the heck we're going to do this. Let's go out. What do you got in the barn? And we go out to the barn, and he's got these clippers that you use for clipping branches, and you can extend the pole out so you can, you know what I'm talking about. It's got a blade on one side and that soft thing on the other side, and it squeezes. You just crank it, so I'm thinking, okay. I'm looking around, and okay, so I put the gloves on it and some tape. He says, what's that for? And I said, I don't want to kill it. I just want to catch it. I made myself a snake catcher. He's like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, this is what we're going to do. I said, you're going to open up that door, and I'm going to use my shield, and I'm going to hold him, and then I'm going to grab him with this snake catcher, At this point, it's like a 5-foot pole. I haven't quite figured out the mechanics of this thing yet. I said, I'm going to grab him by the head, and I'm going to drag him out. Well, why don't you grab him anyway? I said, I'm not grabbing him anywhere. That's a big snake. Man, we go back in the house, and I am all set and ready to catch this snake. Man, my buddy opens up the door. That thing didn't even... Y'all, I thought it was going to strike at the lid. It decided that it was going to be a rude guest at this point, and it comes right out on the floor. Man, I jumped back, because now I realize I'm dealing with like an 8-10 foot snake. It looked like it was 40 foot long and as big as a boat as big as a semi at this point in time, because I'm in a room that the floor space is about 3.5 feet across by 6 feet. It went back and forth across that floor numerous times, and it has decided that it does not like me. I am telling you all, I did a 10x speed river dance. I probably did a 5 to 10x speed jingle, grass, and welcome dance in the first 30 seconds. It was wanting to take a chuck out of me or make an offering of some venom, and I was insisting that it did not do so. I would not be surprised if I didn't do the Acme cartoon thing where I was dancing the jig in the air trying to find something to get a hold of. Man, I am up with my legs on the edge of the countertop that I can barely fit on, with the shield and this thing trying to get this damn snake to quit trying to eat me. And I was too big for it to eat. It was just being rude and trying to bite me because I wanted coffee. I didn't know coffee's drinks. I didn't know snakes drink coffee and got protective over it. Yeah. Man, I am in the process of trying to do the river dance and a few powwow dances on the counter. And finally, I get that pole. He backs off, and I get that pole around right behind his neck, right behind his jaws, right where I want it. Man, I pull on that thing and ratchet it down, and now he is pissed as hell. Speaking of, my buddy went out the door the minute the snake hit the floor. Left the screen open, thank goodness, because I don't think I could have got him out. Man, I got that thing, and I had the shield, and I had him by the head, and I'm dragging it. Y'all, that 8 or whatever feet across the kitchen, hell, his tail was out in the living room. You know, kind of zigzagged a little bit. Man, I get him all the way into the living room, and he's still in the kitchen. I get him out the front door, and his tail's still... I'd like to tell you that his tail was still in the living room, but that wasn't the case. I had a hold of him, and he decided he needed to have a hold of me. Man, I come out that door, and I got a snake wrapped around my leg, and he is still trying to get his head loose to give me a kiss. I didn't want to kiss him. And he had a pointy head. He was not nice. I never seen one like that, y'all. A pointy head, white mouth, black snake. Looked just like a garden snake. Damn thing was, if he was 5 feet, he was 10. And he was big. And from where I was standing, at first, trying to do the river dance in the air to keep him from biting me, I swear he looked like he's 40 feet. And the size of a semi. And them fangs looked like they were bigger than my fingers. Man, I get out the front door and my buddy sees me a-coming and he runs out of the damn driveway. He says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I got a hold of it." And I said, "But it's got a hold of me, so one of us has got to get loose. Come over here and help me." "Oh, that's too big." I'm like, "Oh, man." You know how hard it is to hold a snake's head down at the ground when he's close enough to get to your leg? You know, they do keep and man, my foot's going numb. Man, our other buddy drives up now. Well, I always called him the Mad Scotsman. I miss him. Man, he drives up the driveway in his big old truck, and he gets out, and he looks over at me, and he walks over to where I'm at. And he looks down, and he says, "Man, you shouldn't be messing with a snake that big. You ain't got nothing to handle him with. You don't have the right gear." He reaches down right behind where I got that clamp on that snake's head and grabs that snake really tight with his great big old hands. And then he proceeds to untangle that snake from around my leg. And he's basically got it like a jump rope at this time. He takes it over and throws it in the brush by the creek and comes back over and he says, "Man, you ought to know better than that. You got any coffee?" Yes, that is my snake story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm telling you right now, if I'd have thought about it, I'd have not covered that blade. If I'd have known he was going to give me that much trouble, you know what I'd have been eating that night? I'd have been eating snake soup. Yes. I'm just saying, not nice. And he made me do the river dance and the powwow dance in the little itty bitty kitchen in the air and on the cabinet. And at least my grandma and my aunties had the whole garden. And back by popular demand, have you ever seen somebody have a gunfight with a bear? I have actually won a gunfight with a bear, and I'm about to tell you how I did it. Purely accidental. Man, I was working at the base camp, and everybody had been up at the property working that day, and I said, "Look, I'll stay here," and they didn't need me. "I'll stay here, and I'll get base camp cleaned up, and I'll get supper started." They said, all right, man. They come in from work, and I got supper ready to go, and the base camp is all raked up and cleaned up, and the garbage is taken out to the bear-proof cans and all that. And we didn't have cell phones that would work. We had a phone on a pole. The phone rings. I go, I'm looking at everybody, and everybody's looking at me. I go over and pick it up. That's one of the ladies that we knew that lived up and over the mountain, down through another valley, and across the river. It was not a fast drive, even though it wasn't really that far. She said, I got a bear in my I think I got a bear in my shed. I'm like, all right, one of us will come over and help. She's by herself. Her husband was working. So I hang up the phone and I turn around and walk over to where everybody's sitting around the fire and waiting on their supper to cook, because the guy who normally cooked had taken over for me. I said, hey, any of you want to go help so-and-so with it? She thinks she's got a bear in her shed. Everybody's like, man, I'm tired. Because they had been working hard that day. I admit it. I said, all right, I'll go do it. Man, I hopped in my truck. And big, brave, bad me, man, we go up and over the hill. We go up and over the nether hill. We go around the corner and around the curve and over the creek and over the creek and over that bridge, and there's her house. Over the river and through the valley. To her house I go. Man, I get over there and it dawns on me that there is nothing hanging in the back window of my vehicle. I flip up my seat and there's nothing. And then it dawns on me then, oh man, they're sitting on the table in my little trailer. Oh. I had broken down my hunting gear. I was getting ready to go guide. I had broken down all my hunting gear and was cleaning it and oiling it. And I was going to put it back together later that night. Man, I'm looking in the back of the truck for an axe handle, a Maddox, a chainsaw, anything. Nothing. I got like a little broken sledgehammer handle, and I'm thinking, oh, that ain't going to work on a bear. Hell, it'd claw me before I could hit it in the nose. So I'm like, oh. My little snake and squirrel pistol is in the glove box. That's my little 22, 9-shot 22. It's called a 49er. It has 9 shots in it. It'll shoot long, short, and mine would shoot long, short, and magnums. And I used it for a snake and squirrel gun, and I happened to have a couple of squirrels that I had gotten with it. Man, I opened up the cylinder, and I make sure it's loaded, and I change everything out to mags. You know how hard that thing kicks with mags? It's a revolver, you all, with a long barrel. But I didn't mind doing it. That's what I usually carried. That's what I usually carried in it, plus the other sidearm when I was out guiding. Why? Because it's 9 shots, a 22 mag. Or 22 long and then a 22 mag back and forth. But anyway, all I got's a 22. It is a mag. But I didn't have mags. I wish I had. It was all my imagination. The only box of ammo I had in that damn glove box, you all, was 22 regs. Regulars. Just 22s. Regular shot 22s. And that's what I put in the cylinder as I'm looking at the shed and loading it. Man, I put that thing down to my side. And I got my hat on. And I'm walking up there to the door. And it's cracked open. I'm like, oh, damn it. The door's cracked. I'm trying to listen, man. I got my ear up next to it, very carefully listening. Man, I don't hear anything at all. Not a sound, y'all. So I just kind of push on it a little bit, and now I got it open about 3 or 4 inches, and I'm listening really careful. If there's anything in there, I should be able to hear it, right? I don't hear a sound. Man, I open up that door and put my foot up against it. And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. Of course, I'm coming in out of the sun, but I don't see or hear anything. I mean, nothing. I can see a couple of totes, stacked up, and I can see a couple other storage boxes stacked up, but I don't see nothing. And I'm looking, squinting. Man, I step forward and I hear click. It's like, shit. And when that door clicked, that thing stood up and was looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me, and it's going. It's eating dog food at the far end of the shed, man. And I'm between it and the door with a 22, and all I got's regs. No mags, no longs. I got 9 shots. I'm looking at the bear, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me. And then it just gets back down and gets another mouthful of dog food. Man, it's looking at me again. It's got its arms down to its side, looking at me again. I'm thinking, oh, hell, this is not going to be good. I'm between it and the door, and I know I can't get out the door before it gets to me. This is going to hurt. It's looking at me, and I'm looking at it. I didn't straighten my hat. I didn't have a holster either. I just had it down beside my leg. And the bear didn't have a holster either, but his arms dropped down at its side, and I thought, oh, hell, here we go. The music starts. If you've never seen it, just watch the end of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, and you know what was playing in my head. I hear, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it dawns on me, there's just 2 of us in here. So was that the good and the bad? Or was that the bad and the ugly? Was that the good and the ugly? I got no idea. But it didn't adjust its hat, and it didn't fix its holster, and it didn't reach down for it. It was just looking at me, and it had claws. Man, I'm thinking, when this bear comes at me, I am bringing this revolver up, and I could pull it. I could just pull the trigger. As fast as I pulled the trigger, it would shoot. Or I could fan it, but I'm not a gunslinger, you all. And I'm not thinking, well, I guess I could have dropped down on my butt and fanned it and hoped that thing didn't go for my neck. I'd rather take a full brush charge right into the chest and out that door. Might survive that if I'm still shooting. I'd already made up my mind. Do-dee-dee-dee-doo. Do-do-do. Wah-wah-wah. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. The bear kind of looked at the dog food and decided no, he wasn't interested in any more of it. And I'm looking at the bear thinking, oh, hell, this is not going to feel good. When that bear moves, I'm shooting. And, I wasn't going to try to reach back and open the door. Hell no, that means I got to take my attention off the bear and turn. Hell no. Man, that bear's looking at me, and I'm looking at that bear, and the music gets louder. Wah, 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 doo-dee-dee-dee-doo. In my head, it was getting so loud, and those timpani drums were joining it, thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump. Wah, 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 thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, doo-dee-dee-dee-doo. Man, that bear's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and he closes his mouth. I'm like, oh, hell, here we go. Man, that bear moved. I brought that thing up from my side, and I went bang. And I'm just looking. I was expecting pain, suffering, anguish, and agonizing death. Getting rammed out through that door would not have felt good. That would have been a trip to the hospital. Lord help me if it had been teeth and claws first through the door. But I'm just standing there going like, what the hell? I was in shock. My chin must have been on the ground. But I tell you what, that old 49er was still out in front of me. And I'm looking. Yo, it vanished. That bear vanished from in front of my eyes as I fired. Must have hit in the ass, y'all. I can tell you exactly what that bear did, because I'm looking now and I can see that it had busted the back window and the screen out. That bear had come in through a space I don't think I could have got my shoulders through at the time, and decided to chow out down on the dog food. And when the dog food was gone, it decided to go back out that way instead of causing me any more harm than necessary. I can tell you what, I did not shoot it with anything that would cause it to be a bare-assed bear, but I hope the shot in the ass was a lesson that you cannot win a gunfight with me if you're a bear. That's how you win a gunfight with a bear, y'all. Mahe and I favor nothing, miss nothing, broken, nothing absent from your lives that are needed. And if you want to hear more of these stories, I recorded them way back when. Uninvited guests, too hot to eat, gunfight with a bear. People like me to bring that one back every once in a while. And I got all kinds of stories of people with spiders and snakes and other nasty things. Whatever. Favor everybody. I hope you had fun with me.